Hey, Nick.
Hey, Chase.
It's that time again.
What time is it?
Time for
Fuck this place!
Yeah. I got tired, you know? When you cut your own hair and you get tired sometimes, you just...
Sorry about that.
That looks like a pretty good fruit punch.
Dude, it's a Hawaiian punch in the crystal light packets. Little.
But do they try to crystal light it? Or is it like...
Oh, yeah, no, there's not nearly as much sugar in there as there could be. You know?
Yeah.
This is the grown-up adult Hawaiian punch.
Okay, but it is still Hawaiian punch
More
brand.
of a Hawaiian jab, if you will.
Yeah, Hawaiian. It's like a Hawaiian fencing.
Yeah.
What is it? Hawaiian punch though? Like that's the brand?
Yeah, it's
Man, that's great.
Punch.
That's really.
I mean,
that's
I think
very
it's
smart of
crystal
them.
light, but it's Hawaiian punches all over the logo.
Yeah. But that's super smart because
I agree.
I feel like people like you and me are looking for reasons to drink a Hawaiian punch.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm always looking for like the comeback of something I like as a kid. You know, it's gripping on that nostalgia. You know, so I'm just it's just a little fucking Hawaiian punch from my veins. Hell yeah,
but you don't want to drink real Hawaiian punch.
No, of course not.
For
I
several
die. I'd
reasons.
have the shakes and I just die so fast.
Also because like Hawaiian punch is kind of gross.
Yeah.
Like it's like sharp. You ever like you do?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's like drinking booze when you're a kid. You're just like, I
like,
know this doesn't
fucking me
taste
up.
great, but like it's doing something to me I enjoy.
Yeah, correct.
But so I've been drinking that and it's okay. Like I said, it's a substitute. I feel like it is a little bit like non-alcoholic beer. I'm like, yeah, this is, I guess. Yeah.
Like I'm having an okay time.
Yeah. I'm doing this because I did something wrong before and now this is me now.
Yeah. I'm paying for this. And I accept whatever this has to be. Well, we should intro the podcast, I think, personally.
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome to Fuck This Place, a podcast about jobs with Chase and Nick. My name's Chase.
And my name's Nick, and that's it.
That's it, folks.
That's all.
We're
it's
back.
One of these ones.
It's one of these again. We're back from 4th of July hiatus break. I don't know. I moved my apartment. You can, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I have less hair, and there's a bike behind me. Isn't that cool?
Less hair, more bike.
Way more bike. But if you're listening, just imagine same guy you've been listening to this whole time. A little less hair on the top of his head and a bike behind him.
More of a buzz cut.
But yeah, I didn't shave the head. I feel like a white guy like me, you do not want to go much shorter than what I got right now.
Dude, I mean, I want you to, but again, I'm not you, so I get it. I respect that.
You want to because you just want to see the veins in my head.
I want to see, yeah. I want to see that anger. That's where white guys keep all their angers in the top of their head.
Right up there. Yeah. It's right here. And when it's finally bared to the world. You gotta watch out
for that spearhead.
Yeah. It's always pointy. It's always pointier than you think it's going to be. But today I'd say we actually have kind of quite the lineup of stuff to do.
Yeah, we got a lot to do. Got a lot of work to get to.
We've got a post from the vault we're going to take a look at.
Oh man.
We've I would say a bit of a book review. We have a book to.
I know, dude. Chase read a book, y'all.
I read one, and honestly,
we're going to talk about it.
2 stars on the reading. 4 stars on the book, maybe.
Dude, reading is so hard. And I fucking love it. I love to read. I
like to read too.
Love to read, and it's so fucking hard. My attention span is just fucking trash.
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
awful.
TikTok has not done us well.
No, it is not.
But that's cool. I finished it. Although I don't think that's the fact that I finished the book has nothing to do. We're going to talk about it. It's a book about jobs. And then we also have some write-ins that we're going to cover. So really stacked lineup today. And also, we're just hoping you had a decent 4th week.
Yeah, I hope your 4th was good to you.
I mean, by the time you listen to this, the 4th week is way come and gone. And now we're way back into the bullshit.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're coming at the right time.
Forgot about complaining about the fireworks on the 5th and the 6th.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your dog has fully recovered. It likes to chase balls again. I had a dog. I wish I should
safe till his inevitable death next year.
or just like a prolapse from just shitting while the fireworks go. I
destroyed my dog's ass.
I did have my dog was cool with fireworks growing up, like cool with thunder would sometimes freak her out, but I did dog sit a neighbor's dog. $70 a day, by the way, great rate. And Maggie was the dog's name. I think the owner of this dog listens to this podcast from time to time. So if you're listening,
dude, hell yeah.
I won't name you, but you know your dog named Maggie, don't you?
Maggie's dog.
Maggie's dog.
Maggie's no. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Maggie's farm. Sorry.
Maggie's farm. Maggie's owner. Anyway,
owner, there we go.
And this dog was known when in thunderstorms, which in North Carolina are all the time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they can be daily sometimes. Always would hide in the tub, and then if the storm was long enough, that dog would shit in the tub. And so I would come to take the dog for a walk after the thunderstorm, of course, because I'm a teenager, I got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I would just open the curtain, and there'd just be like on one side of a tub, a scared dog, and the other side was poop. Like the dog knew enough to get away from the poop. Like it didn't actually want to be there, but it still did need to be in the same space to feel safe.
Yeah.
Shout out to Maggie.
Shout out to Maggie. You're a great dog.
You were a great dog. You were a good girl. And you've gone to the bathtub in the sky.
The great bathtub in the sky.
That's where we're all going eventually. So I'll see you there. I hope there's no poop there. But today, before we do our book review, we have a post from the vault. I feel like we should just jump straight into it. So
let's do it.
So the post that we have from the vault, I actually don't remember what episode we were searching, but this is a Bay Area post. And the title is Marketing Position Available. So pretty innocuous. Typically, we tend not to click on something like that. But also, the marketing category is a bit of a chaos category. So sometimes I get a little click heavy. So the post is marketing position available.
Oh, man.
And we are, we should just focus on the picture first. The picture is of a woman. And honestly, right away, it's not like, I mean, yes, there's some red flags, but like the base, like the bones of this picture are all rock solid. There's a woman on a laptop, also on the phone at the same time.
Yeah, I think this was the there was a few good ideas in there, and then no one talked about whether or not those ideas would go together.
Yeah, correct. Like that's what
a
I'm
desk
saying. Like,
and a laptop. Yeah, that's a good idea. A phone. Yeah, that's a good idea. What about a swamp? Yeah.
Oh yes. So we should also say that it is very clear that this person is sitting outside, and behind her is not only like the foliage one would associate with a swamp or like a lot of bamboo. It is full foliage. There is also a chain link fence behind this person. And then
not a tall one.
Not like a tall one.
Like I only say that because it's a chain link fence that you can tell any of us who have been kids, which is all of us listening, know that we've all jumped chain link fences, and we all know that there are some that are broken, that are bendy, that are not reliable to jump over, that might not hold your weight. And that's what this chain link fence looks like. It looks like it's going to fall in on you.
Correct. I would not jump over this fence for two reasons. Number one, bendy. There's clearly no top railing, and I don't even see any support posts. And we actually get a fair view of this fence, right? And then number two is, if you do jump this fence, you are going straight into dense foliage. You will be cut by something, whether it's the fence or blades of whatever this plant
mossy bark just right up on your face.
So there's a person on the phone, big. And I should also say, I do think it's important to know this is a Black woman. And I honestly, any person of any race in this photo, I'm scared for them because it looks like someone has asked them to do this and they're complying. Right. But they don't know why. She's got a smile, but it's not a fully convinced thing. But she does have one hand on a laptop. But you can tell again by the hand that it's not like maybe it's on the keyboard. It's not on the trackpad, right? No. And then of course this person is also holding a phone. It's not like they have a headset. It's just like phone. It's just phone and laptop.
And just so we know, this laptop is not connected to anything. Not
a thing.
And I understand that
Wi-Fi. We get Wi-Fi.
We get Wi-Fi, but it is weird to think that there's Wi-Fi this close to the swamp.
It is. I would guess that this is a public park by a river. is what I would think. Honestly,
Yeah,
this reminds me of a lot of California river parks where you're like, it's called a park and you show up and it's mostly concrete tables. And I'm guessing maybe a concrete bathroom or shelter of some kind. And then, a fence that's either broken or in place.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of plants that don't show the river that you thought you were showing up to.
Yeah.
This could be anywhere in the Central Valley or Southern California.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not inside though.
I should also note, it's for sure not inside. Also note that the woman is wearing a blazer.
Got to be burning up.
Got to be warm. We are in full sun, zero shade. So again, this is a very posed picture. We do not know why.
And you know, the other thing I've noticed is that it appears that I could be wrong, the case on her cell phone is purple, as is the case around her laptop. Yeah. So this implies to me that they told her to bring your own laptop. Like she has her own phone and laptop. Like this is like her set, like this is cool. She's like, this is cool for my personal life. And then this company was like, can you bring all of your own stuff and then use all of it at work?
To the park this afternoon. We're going to take a picture of you. And then you're going to go back to work wherever you actually work. Which is, we're just going to get to the post because maybe we'll hit some like illuminating facts. I am not confident at all. Okay, so it says marketing position available. That's the only photo. And then it says marketing position available. Earn $300 to $500 per week. That's not a lot of money.
No.
Just for the record. No experience required. Full training is provided. It seems to me like no experience required, I believe. Full training provided. Not something I believe. Right. Right. Like I believe, this podcast we have discussed Chase's one telemarketing day where he showed up.
What a black day.
A dark day. No experience was required, but there was not they could have said if they wanted to, full training is provided because they gave me a piece of paper with a bunch of words on it that said, say this. And the guy said, say this. No.
Then you spent the rest of the day just between two guys that were just shoving you back and forth.
Correct. Yes. So full training seems like that's a bit of a stretch. Then it says you must have a laptop or a smartphone, which in the photo implies both. It blows my mind that it's an or situation.
Yeah.
Because if it's or, then wow, we're really opening the door to a lot of stuff.
I'd like to note too, back to the $300 to $500 a week. Sure. This job is located in San Francisco, one of the most expensive cities to live in
the
country.
World. In the world.
Really. Yeah. In the world. Yeah.
Certainly in the country.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, maybe $500 a week. You've got to bring all your own stuff.
Which in some ways,
like the tech empire,
which in some ways is a very San Francisco job. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a plethora of jobs in the Bay Area, but in San Francisco in particular, where they're like, you might make money, but what if you brought everything? That's how Uber is. Right?
You think that they're like,
that was born in San Francisco. They're just like, you might make money, bring your car.
That's a good point. You think that they're like, oh, it's $300 if we have to provide a laptop and phone for you, $500 if you bring your own.
Maybe. I mean, again, the crazy thing is Uber and other gig, like tech-based, like, I don't know, what do you call app-based gigs, promise more than this, and they still don't even deliver that. A lot of the Uber or DoorDash ads, well, they'll say, at least 1,200 plus per week, and it's like, well, it's just however much I work. So that's not true.
Yeah. I think this lady's in trouble. I'm not going to lie to you. I think she's in trouble.
It could be. Yeah. So it says you must have a laptop or smartphone, be able to work independently and with a team. Too many ors and ands here. Must be 18 years or older. And then the last line of the post says, reply back. as if this is an email that you sent to me.
Yeah. Like you're somehow already upset with me that I haven't gotten back to you fast enough. Like I didn't stop halfway through sentence 2 to like tell you how on board I was.
Like you haven't contacted me at all, buddy. I just found you, and I think I found you in the woods.
Yeah. This guy's going. This equivalent of him going, right,
Reply back.
Let's hear it. What do you got?
So yeah, I mean, I'm very concerned for this person. Although maybe this person's in charge of this, and and maybe you're less in danger. But
I'm gonna say right off the bat, no to this job. Not doing it. That is not even a fraction of what I'm gonna need to fucking move to San Francisco, a city that I feel like is starting to become abandoned because of their homeless problems and the price of living. But and just flat out, I think is if this woman, and this is a big if this woman is alive,
and she's not buried in the woods behind this fence.
If she's alive and works there, I guarantee you she's the only cool fucking person there.
Yeah. Yep.
Why is this not a picture of some fucking tech nerd guy doing this? Why is it her? Why is it why is there not more information? There's something weird about this.
I will say major props though to the poster for taking a real picture or stealing a real picture. It's possible.
Sure. But definitely not a Google image.
We have run into this post a million times with it's very clear a stock image of somebody in a call center, fake smiling, and that person is an actor who got paid a day rate and went home to an apartment that they like,
Yeah.
And this person, went to a park and they took a picture of somebody. So I do want to say, I don't know, C+ for effort. It's very clear that you did.
You're just lucky that Yvette was working. Or
correct.
Whatever.
Yeah. And what also blows my mind is that if this person is employed in any way by this place, that surely other people, the multitude of people, let's call it at least 2 who work here, work indoors at times. You know what I mean? In any place, whether it's, you could have gone, if you're willing to go to a park, you could have gone to the home section of a Target or an IKEA and taken the same picture. You could have sat at an IKEA desk, which we know there's one in San Francisco. There's tons of them.
Yeah.
And sat down and taken a picture. But instead
it's right above the Starbucks. That's above the IKEA. That's above the other Starbucks.
That's right. But instead you went to Dead Man's River Park. And you took a picture of a person on a phone.
Hangman's Gulch. Why are we going to Hangman's Gulch?
Because we're taking a picture so that we can allure people into replying back, of course. Dead Man's Gulch, Angel's Run.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This place definitely comes with mythos behind it.
They went to Scallywag Alley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard a lot of scallywags got killed out here years ago.
Back in the pirate days.
You'll hear them scallywags.
You can hear them scallywags on their phone or laptop.
And the guy's like, sometimes dead is better. And then he's like, I'm just trying to apply for this job.
I'm just trying to get $300 a week. So yeah, obviously this is a fuck this place situation. So no.
Yeah.
No. What's up, everybody?
What's going on, guys?
Wanted to remind you that you can text the podcast anytime you want.
Night or day, whenever the hell you want.
It's fine. It's the number is 470-BAD-JOBS. The actual numbers are 470-223-5627. That's the number.
So yeah, anytime you want. Like I said, middle of the night, whenever. We don't got jobs right now. Whatever's going on with you is going on with us.
I mean, absolutely. Maybe you still have a job and it's shitty. You can tell us about that. Maybe you don't have a job and it was shitty before.
Maybe you're getting one of those weird temperature forehead checks right now.
For sure.
You want to pull out your phone and just say, fuck you guys. I'm going to text 470-BAD-JOBS.
470-223-5627 is the number. That is the number. And you can also call us if you want, but I mean, whatever. It's your choice. That's the point here. So moving on to our main segment of today is a bit of a book review of a book.
Ooh, a book
that I read.
What is it like for you when you're reading? When do you set a time? Like before bed, you're like, I'm gonna get some.
Here's the crazy thing I do. I almost always have 3 books running.
Oh,
or
really?
2
Wow.
very slowly. One is a poop book. I like to read it. I try not to look at my phone when I'm pooping. And so I will sometimes do
good for you. That's a good idea.
It's a great idea because you're going to read like 2 pages, one page. And I know people talk a lot of shit about dudes pooping, but I'm just telling you, I'm going to look at
dudes pooping.
What? Oh, people talk about how long dudes poop.
Dude, because they don't get it. They don't get it. You know,
they don't get that you can just hang out. Also,
yeah. That's like saying, why go fishing? Like, you don't get it. You don't get it.
Yeah. If you don't get it, you don't get it. And I'll be honest, I'll never go fucking fishing. But
dude, fishing's tight because you don't have to do anything, and you can tell you act like you did something.
It's a lot of hanging out. Yeah, for sure.
So it's a good hang.
And don't get me wrong, I would do fishing over a bunch of other activities. Golf, I would fish over golf.
Really? Okay, man. Maybe I'm just an old guy because I'm not good at any of these things. By the way, I'm not gonna I don't want to. No right.
Nobody's good at these
fisherman.
Things.
Like, no, sir. No, I am bad. But me and Jake Solomon are planning a fishing trip. We want to go fishing, and also,
nice.
I think it'd be a good time. Jakey's a good guy. Golfing again, terrible. I'm letting everyone play through. Go ahead. I'm gonna be here till sundown. But I enjoy them. Maybe I like drinking. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
Sure. And and that's fair. And I got nothing against drinking. So yeah, I have a pooping book, and then I usually have another book. And then sometimes I have an additional book that I just, I used to live, and I just moved, so this is less the case. I used to live very close to Skylight Books on Vermont, in Los Feliz, and I really enjoy going into a bookstore and finding books. I don't like browsing for books on the internet, and I like everything on the internet for the most part. I'm on a podcast on the internet right now, but I really enjoy the accidental discovery of books in bookstores.
Yeah.
Any dicks. So this book.
You got I'm sorry. I know. I'm just asking you real quick. You got a favorite author? Who's your favorite author?
I don't have a favorite author. I don't. I really like that book, Born to Run. I don't run.
Oh, okay.
I typically like nonfiction books. I don't know why. They're always nightmares, I've never read a nonfiction book. It's like, everything's going to be all right, buddy.
Yeah. Every nonfiction book ends with just, please help. Please help.
That's what this book ends with. I really liked Sometimes a Great Notion by Ken Kesey, who also wrote One Flew Over the
Cuckoo's Nest. I loved One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah. But I don't know if Sometimes a Great Notion is still my favorite book. I really liked reading it. But it's a really great book. It's a very well woven story. I really like thick books. I like books that don't end. Fiction books. Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, Michael Chabon, another great long book. I really hate ending books. Another reason why I like to. Yeah, I get sad.
Yeah, I get sad when books end too.
Yeah.
Because it's like something you did. It feels like you accomplished something. It's not like watching a show. Like, sometimes people be like, and I finished that Netflix show.
Yeah.
They don't count.
Yeah. No, fiction books, I get sad because I'm like, these people are now like they're dead. They're effectively dead. There's no other life that these people can or will live.
And you like walk by and it's like Indian in the cupboard or whatever. And they're like, Chase, help us live again.
Yeah, correct. But nonfiction, I don't feel as sad when they're over. Because again, most of the time the books are sad to begin with. So it's sort of just.
And you're like wishing that guy was dead now that he made you so sad.
Yeah, continual milieu. But yeah, so this book actually was recommended by a podcast guest, Logan Gunselman. She mentioned it on the podcast. Cool. And so I decided that I would pick it up. It's a book called Bullshit Jobs, subheading The Rise of Pointless Work and What We Can Do About It. And it's by this guy named David Graeber. By the way, this author is in fact dead. So that's sad.
Oh, okay. My bad, David.
He was cool, apparently.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And like died of just like health things, like in like 2018 or 2019. So anyway, just like shout out to David Graeber. Sorry, man. But yeah, so yeah, she mentioned the book, and I'd actually heard this dude get interviewed, and I didn't actually think I was going to like it because the book's about people who have pointless jobs and how sad it is that they have them. And I kind of initially thought like, what do I care? You have but you like, you know, like, I'm sorry that you have a computer job that you hate. Like at the time I was like, I would love a computer job that I hate. You know, like fucking gimme, sit down at a desk computer job that I hate.
Then you turn the page and you're like, chapter 3, Chase McNeill.
Oh shit. So yeah, but the job sort of like broadly sort of identifies, again, sort of like how dumb, meaningless jobs came about, and like sort of what we can do about it, but mainly how they came about. I mean, it's 90% how this came to be. So we're gonna, like, the first 2 excerpts I think kind of help explain just sort of the book in its entirety, and then we'll dive into some other stuff. So here we go. Oh, by the way, this book came from this dude wrote an essay in like 2013 and put it on the internet or whatever, and people reacted strongly to it. And so then afterwards, I think it maybe went viral or something. I don't remember 2013, you know? Who remembers 2013?
Dude, I don't, dude, 2019. I'm not
hard to say what happened.
You know, I don't really know. I'm like, did I beat Red Dead Redemption that year? I can't remember. Was that the year? I don't know.
Or was that the year I just decided to start wandering with the horse? Which we've also discussed in this podcast. Michael Longfellow, I believe. So, so anyway, the essay, I think, was just called like On the Phenomenon of Bullshit Jobs. Yep. So anyway, this is how that essay begins. So the book begins with this essay. So I'm just going to read just a little bit here. In the year 1930, and that's not how you want an essay to start, but anyway, in the year 1930, John Maynard Keynes, predicted that by century's end, by the way, that guy, I looked him up. He's a economist or whatever. Who cares? By century's end, who cares about the book that I'm reading out loud on a podcast? By century's end, technology would have advanced sufficiently that countries like Great Britain or the United States would have achieved a 15-hour work week. I got such bad news for that guy. And so does this book.
Off in a good, not a good prediction, my guy. It would be so tight if we only had a 15-hour work week.
It'd be super tight. Yeah.
So tight.
15 hours? I'll do anything for pretty close to anything.
2 days.
Yeah, correct. Okay. There's every reason to believe he was right. In technological terms, we are quite capable of this. And yet it didn't happen. Instead, technology has been marshaled, if anything, to figure out ways to make us all work more. I would agree with that. In order to achieve this, jobs have had to be created that are effectively pointless. Huge swaths of people in Europe and North America in particular, I would just say like highly developed countries in general, because I would say that this is probably beyond just these countries, spend their entire working lives performing tasks they secretly believe do not really need to be performed. And I would say some people not even secretly. So what are these jobs precisely? A recent report comparing employment in the U.S. between 1910 and 2000, which is quite a narrow range considering the year that we are currently in, gives us a clear picture. Over the last century, the number of workers employed as domestic servants in industry and in the farm sector has collapsed dramatically. At the same time, and these are in quotations probably from that report, professional, managerial, clerical, sales, and service workers tripled, growing from 1/4 to 3/4 of total employment. In other words, productive jobs have, just as predicted, been largely automated away. But rather than allowing a massive reduction of working hours to free the world's population to pursue their own projects, pleasures, visions, and ideas, that would be cool, that'd be tight, we have seen the ballooning not even so much of the service sector as of the administrative sector, up and to including the creation of whole new industries like financial services or telemarketing, the unprecedented expansion of sectors like corporate law, academic and health administration, human resources, and public relations, blah, 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 blah. These are what I propose to call bullshit jobs. And I feel like on our podcast, I kind of feel like we cover bullshit jobs, but I feel like we also cover what he calls shit jobs a lot, which is a kind of distinction that he makes in the book. And here's the distinction that he makes. Bullshit jobs often pay quite well. And this is one of the reasons initially I thought, who gives a fuck? Bullshit jobs often pay quite well and tend to offer excellent working conditions. I would dispute excellent. They're just pointless. Shit jobs are usually not at all bullshit. They typically involve work that needs to be done and is clearly of benefit to society. It's just the workers who do them are paid and treated badly. So, you know, like a barista job is I would call a shit job, not a bullshit job. I mean, the whole thing feels like bullshit because how many coffee shops do we need? But nonetheless, if that job were to disappear tomorrow, like if you, the person who's a barista, who serves drinks or who serves food or whatever, literally didn't show up, like that affects other people sort of immediately. This guy's talking about like some guy who works in like a health insurance, you know, conglomerate, right? And who just like literally the position ceases to exist. It's possible that no one would notice for quite some time, right?
Yeah. No, I immediately like, I was a little turned off when he like threw like something like HR in with like a bullshit job, because it's like HR by nature is a good thing because it stops a lot of riffraff from like, which is something that like, it's like, if you kind of complain that HR is shitty, you're shitty. That's what I found. Like, like I'm a guy who can, when I want to be, I can be crass. I can be like, I can say mean things. I can be shitty. I know that about myself. I have never had an issue with HR.
Correct.
I've never been pulled into any HR at any point in my life.
Yeah.
So if you're getting pulled into HR, no.
You slapped somebody at work.
Yeah, you did something. Like, it's like, you know, but I love the way he kind of worked back around. It was like, because now I'm like, yeah, they do just kind of sit around mostly though and get paid a lot of money to do that. So
right.
That makes sense. So like,
right. And I think this is to some degree also any category that he names, the entirety of that category, it's I think not the problem, right? What he's talking about is sort of the proliferation of the way that like, I don't know if we're going to cover it in today's podcast, but you know, there's sort of a notion that like, for instance, government work is always going to be kind of what's the word, wasteful, you know, like in the sense that it's like 3 people to do one person's job. But you know, as is actually highlighted really early on in the book, he talks about like, but like corporations do the same thing because, for instance, like it can work either in a private environment or in a private public environment. So let's say you're like a marketing company, right? And your job is to basically charge your clients money. I mean, your job is to provide them a service, right? But like your company thrives on charging money for your services. So you are going to complicate your services more and more so the services become more expensive. Like not every company does that, but like there is an incentive at a certain point where it's like, if we had 2 people doing this and we like obfuscated and confused the process even more, then we can charge more for the work. And in particular, if it's, let's say it's a government contract or it comes to some sort of public money, then it's like, well, I have even more reason to waste this money, right? Because it's like, there's not enough, a lot of times, accountability built in. Anyway, our next passage. And, you know, here's the bummer of this, you know, of this entire book review. There's not going to be like a major conclusion here, but I do think that like a lot of people might ask themselves, why does my job suck? Right. And this book might indicate why some of your job sucks, even if you have just a non-bullshit job. Like even if you have a regular job that you think has some value, like there are sort of like structures and shapes that this person highlights. It's like, oh, right. So one term that's really helped me a lot recently is the term spiritual violence that he's used. So here's one of the first times that he uses it. And I think this is a story that pretty much everybody, like everybody's experienced, especially in like hourly gigs. It's impossible to understand the spiritual violence of modern work without understanding this history, which leads regularly to a direct clash between the morality of the employer and the common sense of the employee, right? When your boss does dumb shit that you're like, what are you talking about? And he says, I well remember my very first job as a dishwasher. First job. What's your worst job, David? As a dishwasher in a seaside Italian restaurant. I was one of 3 teenage boys hired at the start of the summer season. And he said the first time there was like a crazy rush, they washed all their dishes. Like they just went crazy. Like they're just like, let's get all these dishes done. Let's work as hard as we can, right? Because that's our job. Our job is to wash dishes. Then we then kicked back, proud of what we'd accomplished, pausing perhaps to smoke a cigarette or scarf ourselves a scampi until, of course, the boss showed up to ask us what the hell we were doing, just lounging around, right? Because there were no dishes. The rush was over. And he says, I don't care if there are no more dishes coming in right now. You're on my time. Great sentence. You're on my time. You can goof around on your own time. Get back to work. And so they asked, so what are we supposed to do? He said, get some steel wool. You can scour the baseboards, which, you know, sometimes you do need to do that in restaurants.
Sometimes you got to scour the baseboards.
And then they say, as dishwashers, because their job is keeping things clean, they said, but we already scoured the baseboards. Ooh, and then the boss says, yeah, great comeback.
Great comeback. Great comeback.
It's a comeback that just is like, here's what's happened. You just told me the thing that should happen. I'll tell you that thing's already happened.
We just scoured the baseboards. And he adds like a pop and like pushes them a little bit. Pop, pops.
And then the boss responds, the response that a million people have heard, then get busy scouring the baseboards again. Just do it again. Of course, we learned our lesson. If you're on the clock, do not be too efficient. You will not be rewarded even by a gruff nod of acknowledgement, which is all we were really expecting. Instead, you'll be punished with meaningless busy work. And being forced to pretend to work, we discovered, was the most absolute indignity, because it was impossible to pretend it was anything but what it was. Pure degradation, a sheer exercise of the boss's power for its own sake. So the next time the big rush came, we made sure to take our sweet time. And I feel like, you know, he goes into this a little bit, how like you can scale that beyond, you know, of course, the like, hey, do the baseboards again, right? But there's also a like even more confusing version of that in like a more like office environment, where it's like your job is to fix this software that repeatedly keeps breaking, right?
Yeah.
That like you could hire a consulting company to fix the software, but why do that when you have like a person to sort of like continually band-aid this like same issue or whatever. So the spiritual violence is just sort of just like, why are we doing this dance when it's like it should be evident that like there's no need.
Yeah, I think the natural counter is like the sometimes you'll hear people say like, hey man, I get paid by the hour. You know, like that type of thing, when like they're not in any rush to get it done. You know,
for sure. And like that is the like, you know, in a sense, your hand is forced, right? Because it's just sort of like, well, I know what happens when I do extra work. I just get more work. Or worse, I get work that's, you know, literally nonsensical.
With a frosting layer of in trouble on top.
Yeah.
Of it, you know what I mean? Like kind of mad at me now for finishing all my work.
Yeah, for sure.
I am a bit of a completionist at work, where like I like to get it done. Like I would have been with his first round of like guys there, where I've been like, yeah, let's just knock everything out.
Of course.
And then I would have wanted to go home.
Yes.
Like just because it's like, because I like, but that's just been always been my mindset at work, is to leave work.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I absolutely that absolutely resonates with me. When they're just like, you got to find, that's like if you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
100%. Yeah.
Dude, it's like, oh, fuck you, dude. This is lean in time.
Yeah. Well, and also like, you know, again, there are cleaning things that happen. You know, I know people, you know, I've, you know, friends who've been like in charge at restaurants that are like, yeah, we do have to clean behind the refrigerator sometimes. It's like, yeah, no shit, but do you have to clean it every fucking day?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. You know, like, you know, I've worked places where it's like, yeah, we do need to, you know, like we need to get a rag on the walls at least, you know, once a week. Like just give it a wipe. Like, of course, you know, but that's not what, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean is about.
Yeah.
You know, like, cause you could just as easily, you know, in situations that I've been in, assign days where if there's an extracurricular task aside from literally serving customers, that like, yeah, this is the thing you would do if you have time. Right. Like, and when that's done, tomorrow is the day that you wash out the buckets, you know.
If you find yourself with time to lean on Wednesday, no, that is also back of the fridge cleaning time.
Yeah, correct.
What other findings did you have?
For sure. This next one is pretty, it's more office specific. And it like, I don't know. This one just was just like, oh no, this is the way everything is. Anyway, this person. So so the next passage, we're talking a little bit about how difficult it is, especially in a more office-based environment, to pretend you have work when you don't have work. Which again, part of me is just sort of like, what do I care? You don't have work. But I do think that there's sort of like, it's like you're in a play, like, and it's like, why, you ever
like you take on an accent?
That's what I'm saying. Like some plays are good, right? In some plays you watch a play and you're just like, why are these people not looking at me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why are they wearing coats? It's so hot in here.
Like you're suddenly tempted to be like, no, don't do that. Like,
yeah, correct. Yeah. And again, some plays are good and you go and it's very real and whatever. And, but there are some plays you just sort of like, good, sir.
Yeah. I feel like even a good play, every play I've been to, there's a little bit, I feel perverted. Like I feel like, am I looking through a keyhole right now? Why are these people?
Right. Which was the idea, for a while. It was like, that was revolutionary because it was like, let's pretend they're not here.
Yeah.
Because like, it was, I don't know fucking why, but like around like the 1800, it was like, it was like crazy to look into someone's living room. But also it was like crazy to see someone's ankle. So, we didn't have a lot of fun.
That first audience was like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
hold on a second. Is that a carpet?
Yeah.
Am I horny?
That's not John Proctor. That's Mike from up the street.
Yeah. But now sometimes you see a play and it's like, I cannot spare a farthing. And and like, why are you shouting? And what's a farthing? So it just sort of feels like, but if you do that long time, because like there have been times where, I can't say, I don't know if I've ever fully had a bullshit job, but I've definitely done bullshit at my job, where it's like, why the fuck are we doing this? And the longer you do that, the more you get drawn into this sort of like, and he actually outlines it as like this almost like a BDSM style relationship where it's like you just follow the dominant or the master because they say so, right? And like the less concrete stuff you as a unit of people have to go on, the more they increase that sort of like masochistic authority for authority's sake, because again, they have nothing to back up what they're saying or doing.
Yeah, they're just throwing debris between you and the truth. Like it's a very behind the wizard behind the curtain kind of a thing.
Yeah, correct. So this is yes, that's a part of this passage, but it's also just sort of like, here's what's happened because of that. Or could have happened. Anyway, the most common complaint among those trapped in offices doing nothing all day is just how difficult it is to repurpose the time for anything worthwhile, right? So like if you're stuck watching a play, you can't pull out your phone, right? Because everybody can tell,
Yeah.
One might imagine that leaving millions of well-educated young men and women and people without any real work responsibilities, but with access to the internet, right? You're sitting at a desk, right? Which is potentially, at least, a repository of almost all human knowledge and cultural achievement. We know where this is headed. Might spark some sort of renaissance. Nothing remotely along these lines has taken place. And that's true. That's very true. Instead, the situation has sparked an efflorescence of social media. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Those are the only ones that are listed because I think this is published in like 2016 or 2017. Basically, of forms of electronic media that lend themselves to being produced and consumed while pretending to do something else. Ain't that wild?
That is wild. That's very interesting.
Of course, there's a reason. Like, there's two reasons why.
Break it down for me like I didn't totally understand.
There's two reasons. There's two reasons why Twitter was the advent of microblogging, is what they called it back when people were fucking nerds in
fucking
2011.
Yeah.
Now it's just called social media, right? But like the reason the microblog was both like was neat was because it was very short. So you could absorb it anywhere, right? And there's actually kind of an elegance in some, I think, to the abbreviation of that, right? You, especially the early days of Twitter. I'm citing Twitter just because it was so concrete. It was 180 characters only. That's since changed to like 280, I think. but 180. And like, to do interesting stuff at 180, and you couldn't thread stuff, right? This was literally just, can you make a haiku basically that catches someone's attention, right? And so like by making that concentration, it could make something very interesting, right? So that's one reason why I think that social media like ballooned, right? And the other reason is if you're watching, and it's easy to make, right? If I have one thought, like that was what Twitter once was. Now it's a fucking dumpster fire.
Dude, Twitter's the worst.
But originally, and that's another reason why I like to cite it, because it has just gone so far downhill and so universally. Like there are people who still believe Facebook is a decent time, you know, and they're mostly aunts and uncles. But like, you know, because they're like collecting. But like I would say almost everybody agrees, like Twitter's just fucking nuts. Anyway, it was also like you're, you know, you're walking, let's say to work, and you just think like, why is it that donuts have holes? And you would literally just write, why do donuts have holes?
Yeah.
Is it because they like butt stuff? And then you would hit send, right? And then people would find that interesting or not. And
they would accuse you of liking butt stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that's what Twitter is now.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, and I wasn't on Twitter at the time, but like, again, this is the way a lot of early social media platforms go, is like, there is a lot of genuine sort of organic, like back and forth. Right. And then of course, like, you know, other things happen and they change stuff and that happens less. And then the other reason, you know, that it's easy to both write that while you're at work pretending to do something else. And it's also easy to read that while you're at work doing something else. Like I know this is like, you know, there's still like some cases there's like a lockdown on social media at jobs. But I remember when it was like a big fucking deal if people were on their phones, you know? Like when I started student teaching in 2000, Jesus fucking Christ, 2008. Like it was such a big deal that like if students were on their phones. And then I noticed that so were the teachers. You know, this is 2008. There's not that much to do on a smartphone in 2008. Except
just trying to figure out like how to Zoom.
Maybe like be on Facebook at that time. And so like that was for me the beginning of like, oh right, like this is gonna. And I remember, you know, a couple years later having you know, I don't even know when this was. Maybe it was 2016 that I actually had a job that had a desk again. And everybody in the room was on their phones, you know, they would just be like, they would be talking to you on their phone at work, very clearly not doing work stuff. Right. And I know that other people have been, you know, like, we're probably going to have, on the podcast at some point. He tweeted the other day something about his work. Maybe I shouldn't blow him up. Somebody I have heard that some people still have like more of like phone lockdown policies. Like they don't want to see you on your phone. They don't want to see you on social media. But you know, in my experience, I've seen people both at jobs that I've worked and places that I've been to where people could help me, right, on social media at work. Right. So it's like, it's a permissible form of multitasking that like, let's say reading a book on bullshit jobs would not be particularly permissible. Or like,
let me see that picture on the back of that book real quick.
On the back of here's the dude.
Oh, dude, he's got strong substitute teacher vibes.
Oh, wait.
That's a fucking seventh grade social studies teacher. That's Mr. Bonaro right there. Yeah. Holy shit.
He's got probably
that
like
guy is like, it's like a bad cosplay of John Ritter.
I don't know who John Ritter is, but
Three's Company.
Oh yeah, okay, got it. That's sort of like what has happened. Okay, so I'm convinced is the primary reason for the rise of social media, especially when one considers it is in light not just of the rise of bullshit jobs, but also the increasing bullshitization of real jobs. Is a thing. As we've seen, the specific conditions vary considerably from one bullshit job to another, you know, because he has stuff that he reads, like, you know, people write in and tell him stuff, just like this podcast. You can write in, which we'll talk about later. Some workers are supervised relentlessly. Others are expected to do some token task, but are otherwise left more or less alone. Most are somewhere in between. I mean, because there are people, you know, who were working, you know, who transitioned remote, who thought like, oh, freedom time. And like companies implemented softwares to literally track their activities during work. But that doesn't mean they can't be on their fucking phone or another iPad or laptop or something doing whatever they want. Yet, even in the best of cases, the need to be on call to spend at least a certain amount of energy looking over one's shoulder, maintaining a false front, never looking too obviously engrossed, the inability to fully collaborate with others, all this lends itself much more to a culture of computer games, YouTube rants, memes, and Twitter controversies than to say the rock and roll bands, drug poetry, and experimental theater created under the mid-century welfare state. What we are witnessing is the rise of those forms of popular culture that office workers can produce and consume during these scattered, furtive shards of time they have at their disposal in workplaces where even when there's nothing for them to do, they still can't admit it openly. Wild.
That is wild.
So, that's why TikTok's cool.
Yeah, I've always just had something in the way of manual labor jobs. I've never had an office job.
Yeah.
I'm what some would call dumb. And so I've always had like a lift in rocks in the sun kind of job. And I've almost never, because of that, ever encountered a problem with like, you can't be on your phone because one,
no one's watching
I really
you.
can't. Well, like I really can't, cause I'm carrying something with both my hands, and so, and two, no one's even looking at me.
Right. But there's also, even in, again, like truly relevant, necessary jobs, you can go on TikTok, look at the construction or OSHA violations hashtag. It's everybody on the job site fucking around, but they're fucking around in small increments. Those people are not, for instance, using their construction skills to build themselves their own home. I'm sure they might, they might be doing that anyway. But like they can't, again, they in that case, they have to be there for 8 or 10 hours or 12 hours, where the fuck their situation is. But this, and so that's why I say, to some degree, it's like, yes, it's because of bullshit jobs, but also it's just because of jobs, like that those things exist.
Well, let's skim ahead to the end. What was your take from this book?
My take from this book is honestly just a better language and identifier for when dumb shit's happening to me. That's pretty much it.
Have you used spiritual violence at like
out loud at work? Fuck no. But when someone is talking to me about the like emotional or whatever pain of their job, whether it's a bullshit job or not, like absolutely.
Like
for sure.
Son of a bitch. Spiritual
Well, like
violence.
for instance, I know somebody who works remote, has, since the pandemic started. I don't know when it was in the pandemic, but
I have no idea who this is.
I don't even know when we're now. But their company has staff meetings, that's not a weird thing, but the company required them. Everybody at the company was required to be unmuted on Zoom during the staff meeting, which is a fucking psychopath thing to do. Anybody who's been in a Zoom meeting for any longer than, let's say, 5 minutes with any more than 2 people knows that incidental noise interrupts a Zoom meeting, right? And the way that the Zoom microphone works is if it's loud enough, it completely cancels out somebody else who might be speaking. So what happened, I know because this person reported to me after, because I was like, that's you have to tell me what's going to happen. Interruptions happened. Like dogs barked, children made noises, doors opened and closed, and
sneaky loud fart,
just like,
I was thinking, like a question at the end. Yeah.
And somebody's like, did somebody need something? And of course the company was like, who?
Jameson,
like,
was that you? Was that you again, Jameson?
Essentially, like people at the leadership was like, can somebody pipe down? It's like, I know how to pipe down, bro. It's by muting myself, because that's like,
I can't stop these farts, my guy, but I can mute myself.
I've never been on a Zoom call where people wanted other people to be unmuted. That's a fucking insane thing to want people to do. But the reason they claim they wanted it is because they wanted more participation in the meeting, right? When that, again, it's like that's a structural, like you're fixing a structural problem with an individual response. right? The individual responses make everybody unmute themselves. The structural problem is nobody wants to talk in your Zoom meetings because they hate your fucking guts.
Yeah.
Or because they don't feel like it's welcome. I don't know this person's situation, you know? So to me, like that's a form of spiritual violence. Like this just sort of like enacting this thing on you for no goddamn reason.
Yeah. Spiritual tyranny almost.
Spiritual tyranny. So, I mean, you know, in the end, the guy says like, yeah, you could do things like, I don't know, universal basic income or something where, you know, theoretically you could, but I mean, the problem is extremely deep because it's like people's value is in work too. We'll close on one other passage. And it's pseudo political, but I promise that everybody gets burned. So more jobs. Here's the excerpt. More jobs is the one political slogan that both left and right can always agree on. They differ only about the most expedient means to produce the jobs. Like, so it's like everybody always says more jobs, but nobody ever asks like what the fucking jobs are or should be. Okay. And skip ahead. And he says like, he believes that for the most part, like all political classes are complicit in just creating more bullshit jobs because it doesn't matter. As long as it's a job, it doesn't matter to them. Right. Does this mean that, so he's saying, is it okay to be this sort of like wacky and conspiratorial? And he says, if that seems a daring claim, even conspiracy talk, that they're in on this, consider the following quote from an interview with then US President Barack Obama. And I remember this interview. Like I remember information from this interview. I don't remember the full quote, but about some of the reasons why he bucked the preferences of the electorate and insisted on maintaining a private for-profit health insurance system in America. And then this is Obama saying, I don't think in ideological terms, I never have. Everybody who supports single-payer healthcare says, look at all this money we would be saving from insurance and paperwork, which is like true. There's a million studies that have been like, yeah, you would save money, right? By just streamlining everything. Streamlining is actually a very corporate like goal. That represents, and this is back to Obama's quote, that represents 1 million, 2 million, 3 million jobs filled by people who are working at Blue Cross Blue Shield or Kaiser or other places. What are we doing with them? Where are we employing them? End quote of Obama. And the author continues, I would encourage the reader to reflect on this passage because it might be considered a smoking gun. What is the president saying here? He acknowledges that millions of jobs in medical insurance companies like Kaiser or Blue Cross are unnecessary because he says you would save jobs and these would go away. He even acknowledges that a socialized health system would be more efficient than the current market-based system since it would reduce unnecessary paperwork and reduplication of efforts by dozens of competing private firms. But he's also saying it would be undesirable for that very reason. One motive he insists for maintaining the existing market-based system is precisely its inefficiency.
Oh, that's very interesting. You know, I've been trying to come up with a way to pin down Obama, and
you know what?
We finally got
this is it. And well, the thing is, I think you could pick. I think if you were to remove Obama from that statement and just simply like take the fundamentals of it, the talking points, and deliver it to any politician or really anybody involved in that debate, like that talking point's been used a million times. Like, what are we going to do with the jobs of those people who work for these insurance companies who I think it's pretty like, I don't think it's crazy controversial to say they make a lot of money off of people being sick and they're not always cool about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think that's like, whoa, anarchist shit. I think it's pretty clear that they're not giving a lot of people, they're not always benefiting people by the system that they designed for themselves. To pay out for insurance. So I just think that a lot of, there's a lot of people who would easily grab that talking point and use it as like, but what about these people's jobs? Right. And it's like, did anybody think to ask the people whose jobs those are? Right. Do they want that? I don't know. But anyway, it's dark. Anyway, that specifically has haunted me for some time. Because again, it's just sort of like, so yeah, I mean, if you're in a bullshit job, I got nothing for you. You know what I mean?
I got a good book to read while you're pooping.
Oh boy, especially if you're pooping at work. You know, in the sense that like, yeah, like it does sort of help just sort of like outline just like, oh, that's what that is. Like, this is a person exerting this thing for their own will. And obviously, like most people who listen to this podcast, I would say are pretty hip to like a shitty boss, you know, like it's not like super hard to see. But you know, if you are kind of like thinking like, what's going on here? This book does outline sort of several of the pieces as to like why, and maybe, you know, maybe we'll do a part 2 on this one. But it's a little difficult to sort of distill some of the like how he's explained this has come to be, right? But I think that's about it for now.
We'll pick this up another time when we want to get a little bummed out.
Write-ins.
Oh man, we got some write-ins.
We got write-ins.
We got write-ins, baby.
We got 3 write-ins.
Okay.
It's our birthday today. So our first write-in comes from Dallas.
Oh shit.
I made up Dallas's name. Dallas gave me free reign, and I was just like, I need like a badass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Dallas writes in, and I'm going to go ahead and guess based off of the write-in that this is after our Miles Weber episode, which is that's our most recent episode. That's correct.
Yes.
And Miles Weber worked, if you haven't listened to that episode, he worked in a state mental hospital as like a admin guy. And the person, Dallas, writes in and says, love your podcast. Thank you, by the way, Dallas. Thank you so much.
Dallas, thank you very much. This is the best way to open the pod. The question.
And open the pod too. I work in a psych ward, ... Fuck this place. All right. I have so many stories. I have no idea where to start. And honestly, Dallas, I bet you do.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
We're about to give some background info. I am 19. Shout out to being 19, Dallas.
Oh, dude, man, I fucking wish I was 19. Not now. I wish we could go back to when I was 19.
Yeah.
Being 19 now seems scary.
Yeah, it sounds like a tough road. Under 5'10", under 95 pounds, and
wait, under 5'10" or under 5 feet?
Under 5 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a Joe Rogan on our hands here. We have a little shorter than that. Joe Rogan's 5'7", I believe. Shout out to Joe Rogan being short.
Shout out Joe Rogan, dude. Joe Rogan, love you on the pod.
Yeah. Okay, under 95 pounds and look like a 10-year-old. Honestly, I relate, dude. I'm not under that, but I have been a small.
You are certainly not under 5 feet.
No, I'm not. But I have been a skinny motherfucker for a long time.
Oh, long time.
So I get it. You know, the physical safety, not always there. We have a geriatric unit where most of the patients have dementia. People are screaming 24/7. They are super violent and super pervy, which I do believe that.
Oh, man.
I do believe that. Right now we have a patient that screams.
Awful and hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now we have a patient that screams, "Mommy," without stopping, literally from the second she wakes up to the second she falls asleep. That does not sound like a nice place to be.
Far less hilarious.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, like, the people need help. Like, this person needs, a setting. I don't know if this is the setting that would ultimately help them the most, but like, as of right now, system wide, this is pretty much the best that's available.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a state one or what. We also have we have an acute unit for high risk or psychotic patients. That's where we put all of our quote unquote problem patients, which it's dangerous to move forward here, but we are going to continue reading. We have a lot of people escape off that unit. One thing that we have learned from the Miles Weber episode and this
Michael Longfellow.
And Michael Longfellow. Yeah, most lockdown facilities, there's a lot more escaping there than you would think.
Yeah.
So, just, as a reminder, if you live near one.
It just makes it make more sense when you read Batman comics and they're like, oh, the Joker escaped from Arkham Asylum again.
It really does.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I guess they do get out a lot.
Yeah. It's Scarecrow again. He's just hailing a cab. Whatever, man. I guess we'll see it. We'll see you next time. We'll see you next time you roll in.
Yeah. He's like, I got like, or like the Riddler's like running, and he's just, his first thought is like, I got to get to my question mark suit.
Right. Yes. And I think also part of it is, it also speaks to, probably just to guess how like underfunded and understaffed, the whole situation is. And I would also argue rightfully resistant to like full prison style lockdown, 24/7. Like I could understand being like, I don't actually want to be like that severe. But also, what are you going to do? We have a lot of people that escape off that unit. A couple months ago, a patient timed the break of our more intimidating nurse. When that nurse went on break, the patient faked a medical emergency so he could steal the badge of the other nurse who was alone in the unit. While running down the street, he decided to strip because we would notice, this is like, I think a quote from the person, we would notice him if he was wearing the clothes he left in, which again is a symptom of a person who's not doing very well.
But also pretty sharp. Like just to I mean, just like obviously you're gonna notice a naked guy running.
Right, but you do got to start somewhere.
Yeah, but he's just like, yeah. He's just like, they'll know these again. He just got to get back to his Riddler outfit.
I completely agree. He then ran into a TGI Fridays fully naked.
Love it.
Which
love
is
it.
Okay. That
which
is
is typical for TGI Fridays.
It really is. Every TGI Fridays I've ever been to is so sad to me.
Every TGI Fridays I've ever been to is next to an insane asylum.
It's just like, I've never had a good time at a TGI Fridays. We tackled him to the ground. That doesn't sound comfortable, in the middle of the restaurant while everyone ate their lunch. Oh, well, lunch rush. One of my patients who was there for homicidal ideation. Yeah, that's not good. And tendencies, plotting and attempting to kill people. Also not good. This patient barricaded me in his room while explaining to me that the devil told him that this is our Dallas, am the chosen one to help him write the anti-Bible and kill off the human race so we can start fresh. And then Dallas ends this section of the writing with, I have tons of other funny stories too.
Okay, right.
Which so far,
straight out, not interested. I want more of this shit. I want
more details.
Dude, I want more Antichrist escape guy. I want more TGI Fridays guy. Dude, that is so tight that he was naked running into that TGI Fridays.
Yeah, and I do want to say, like, again, these people need like desperate help, but also at the same time, like, respect for like, leaving, like, I don't think these places are very pleasant. So, I would guess that Dallas would agree, like, yeah, this isn't a nice place to be. So even if you're in trouble, you want to leave.
My thing, I think too, is what is the protocol there? Like, what is it like in terms of, do they go, oh crap, Lenny's out again?
I mean, honestly, I think you do have the Lennies. I think you do have the Jokers who are gonna go out.
But I just mean, like, do then they like hit it, like they smash a button and then like Billy Clubs come out or whatever, and then they got to run after them? Is there like a very funny like wagon that they're all driving down after? Like, I want to know what's the procedure. Do you go running out?
Does someone start cranking a horn, like an old timey horn?
Oh, dude, or that doomsday horn?
I would guess that there's a lockdown. Like doors close. That's my guess. Doors close and doors lock. And then I would guess it's a lot more lo-fi than we're thinking here. Like, I think Dallas has just got to like head out in the golf cart. Maybe there's a golf cart,
That's so intense. That's so intense. Dallas.
So intense.
I don't know how you do it, especially like, I mean, you're saying that you're implying, you're undersized for some of these situations, perhaps. Correct. In terms of a physical confrontation. So you're 95 pounds, 90 of that is your balls. Like, it's just like, that's fucking ball. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah. And I also recognize, like, if you work in this environment day in and day out, like, you pretty much, like, you have to disconnect. Well, maybe other people would say something else, but I would think you would there's got to be some level. When you reach that level of intensity, you have to kind of back off and lean into like, just like if you're in war, like you've got to have some gallows humor, in order to go through the next thing, in order to like know that same chaos is waiting for you tomorrow. Right? Like you do have to say like, well, okay, it was sort of objectively funny that like Nudity and TGI Fridays met at the same time.
Again.
That like there's a lot of ranch in there. And I responded with just a simple wowza.
Yeah. It is, dude, to like let's say like that naked guy runs in the TGI Fridays and he like finds like a booth with a family in it, and then he just sits there naked. He's just like, act like I'm one of your family. They're like, no.
I can't do that. It's not something I can give you fries. If you want some fries, I can help with that. But yeah, that's a tough game. Dallas does have some follow-up info. A funny one I forgot, which, if Dallas calls it funny, then we're calling it funny. Because we're on Dallas's side. That's the point of view. Well, I mean, to a point. But if you write in, we're taking your side first.
Yeah, we're taking your side first. You can lose us for sure.
Oh boy, yeah, we'll turn on you if we have to.
But mostly we're on your side.
Yeah. If you confess to murder,
we Chase is out. I'm gonna hear you. Out. Chase is out. I'll listen a little bit, but I might be out too.
Yeah. And then Dallas says, a funny one I forgot. Our fire extinguisher is in a metal locked box. We had an upset patient kick the metal box until it opened, which,
fuck.
That's a lot of kicking.
That's a lot, because I imagine you got those little slippers. It's not like you got work boots on, steel-toed boots or anything.
Correct. She threw the fire extinguisher at one of our nurses. It hit him right in the balls, and he just plopped to the floor. Which, dude, someone getting hit in the nuts is
hilarious.
Objectively funny.
Yeah. Dude, what I imagine the difference between hilarity and terror in all these situations is just the soundtrack, whatever music.
Yeah, if you have the Benny Hinn music or Benny Hill. So is it Benny Hill?
Benny Hill. Yeah.
I think Benny Hinn is actually a televangelist. My little sister used to watch this guy named Benny Hinn on she watched him before Oprah came on. He wore like a white suit and he healed people, and I was terrified.
He would hit people with their coats.
Yeah, I think
like a phony faith healer motherfucker guy.
Yeah, I was super terrified that she was watching him. Like I was just like, oh no, I was afraid of this sort of anti-Bible situation. Only, you know what I mean? Like I was just afraid that one day I would like come home and my sister would be watching that guy and her eyes would be all twirly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's weird magic.
Yeah. She would start just being like,
yeah. What's up?
And then I would get my coat, and maybe my limp leg would get better. Then I'd have to believe in it. That
you got to go with it at that point. What are you going to do? Say that your leg didn't get better?
She saved my life that day.
Benny Hinn, listening to Benny Hill.
Anyway, you get hit in the balls. Tough road.
Was that it? He's just like that.
That's it from Dallas. So thank you, Dallas.
Thank you, Dallas. It is super funny that you told these pretty dark stories, but then ended up like, oh, dude, but one time this dude got hit in the balls.
Yeah. Now, that wasn't the first one.
Dallas, please keep writing in with just any stories that come to you or anything that you feel comfortable talking about. Because I
also, I am curious as a follow-up, Dallas, is how do you do it? I don't think I would survive in that situation for very long.
Do you pack a lunch?
Yeah, that's a great question. What do you have for lunch, Dallas? Yeah. Because if you, after, attack on someone at TGI Fridays, do you grab a little takeout,
while I'm here? Yeah.
Or did you pack a ham sandwich?
Yeah.
So those are our follow-up questions. What do you have for lunch from time to time? And then how do you do it? It would be any interesting there.
Do they provide mental health resources for you?
That would be cool.
And do they provide a gym to you?
That would also be cool.
Because it's these are the two things that you're going to have to contend with, is the mental toll that you have from chasing people into family restaurants and the physical toll of having to wrestle down someone in Applebee's.
Yeah, you might want to start putting on the beef. / also just getting some of the evil out.
Yeah, because I feel like cool. They're not gonna, but jujitsu lessons, something that you could teach you how to safely hold someone down who's larger than you.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
But also just for your brain, if you don't have that, it'd be curious if you have any of those sort of self-care things. I'm sure there's other people that have got tough jobs.
Thrust punch.
Yeah. I mean, just also like, for me, exercise, whether it's, I don't do fighting training, but it just helps rinse out my goddamn brain.
Yeah.
Like it's only so much you can think about when you're trying really hard at something. So anyway, that's Dallas. So thank you, Dallas.
Thank you, Dallas.
Next write-in, a little bit of a short one, but I do think it's an important write-in to read from. Comes from Skylar.
What up, Skylar?
Which is a name I also made up for fun. And the truth is, everybody else is giving me their name, so they can be making that up as well. But anyway, Skylar writes recently. I think we got some extra writings because we had a couple TikTok videos get some extra views, which is great. If you're new to the podcast, like we're so glad you're here, no matter how you got here. And if you're old to the podcast, we're just glad. Anyway, Skylar writes, you guys ever going to have women on this or is this strictly what to me sounds like a white male podcast only, which pause for a second. Sometimes you listen to the podcast. Yes, we have been short in the last, 5 or 6 episodes of women. But if you look at our Instagram posts of or YouTube of the people who are talking, they're not all white dudes. They are dudes, but they ain't all white dudes. Just, Just a tiny little course correction before we continue on.
And for the record, I am Mexican, but thank you for just thank you for getting that wrong, Skylar.
Yeah.
I guess I don't sound it enough for you, Skylar. Is that what you're saying? Maybe for accent, Skylar?
Yeah, maybe we'll try that. Because I like the podcast.
Skylar. I'll try to sound more Mexican.
Lo siento, in the words of Nick's people, in the words of Chase's people. I'm sorry, hon. That's the Southernism. Because and Skylar continues, because I like the podcast premise. Thank you. We do too. But hearing the same or similar perspectives is getting a bit boring, which I hear you.
And I agree with that. I agree. Me and Chase were talking about that recently. Is like as trying to.
Nobody wants a plate with just all mashed potatoes. And no gravy. That's the white guy plate. My cousin, I have a cousin, man. All he would eat at Thanksgiving is mashed potatoes, zero gravy, biscuits, and ham. And everybody was so worried that he was going to die. But then if you actually look at the rest of the stuff that my grandma was serving, like everything else was super bad for you too. Anyway, just shout out to my cousin. Because I like the podcast friends between the same or similar perspectives. It's getting a bit boring. Would like to see you guys grow some, which we're growing. But also a caveat, which I think is important. I also haven't listened to the backlog yet, so maybe I missed something, which, I do think backlog wise, we're doing pretty solid as far as voices go.
I would agree. I think that this person has done minimal research before.
Perhaps the last 4 or 5.
Before like deciding that we're getting it wrong.
possibly.
But I would say, Skylar, like we try to book as wide range of guests as possible.
As we can, as we're capable
as we are capable of. Chase and I are fortunate enough to have been doing comedy for so long now that we have quite the roster of varying background comics and actors that we can pull from. But a lot of times it's scheduling. A lot of times people agree and then it just doesn't work out for whatever reason. And then it's like,
and there's always white guys, folks. If you need a switch hitter to just come in the last second, we have got a pile. And they're nice people,
And there's also the factor of like, there's some comics of, again, just whatever background that I would love to have on, but maybe don't get my messages or whatever. And honestly, if you have a comic or an actor or an actress, I think what you're trying to say, like if you have someone that you would like on, reach out to them.
Yeah, by all means.
I would love to interview who you want to hear.
Yeah.
That'd be totally good. In the meantime, we will try to keep finding what we feel to be the best guests, regardless of what their backgrounds are.
Yeah.
But if you got someone you want to see, man, hook it up. I would love to talk to who you want me to talk to.
For sure. I mean, another like kind of important, just sort of like behind the scenes look here is like, like it's just us. You know what I mean? Like if you think there's like a team, but like if you listen to this podcast and you think this is a team, fucking that's awesome, because it makes what we do, we want our shit to look and sound like it's good, like there's, other podcasts where there's like teams of people that are working on shit. But it's just Nick and Chase here. Also another thing to consider, and we're always reaching out to new folks that we do and don't know, but what we're on episode like 90 something by now, like another worthwhile question as like a person, if you're just like hanging around, do you know 90 people, right? Or do you know 90 people that might respond to a message, right? Because like part of it is we try to extend the network that we have. Obviously we do some cold calling, so to speak. But in the end, the most likely people that are sort of the fingers of the network. So, and sometimes those people in the network, again, they'll run into scheduling issues or whatever. So, we are doing our best, and we always believe that the more voices, the better. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, if you have someone in mind, and again, like if you have a connection with someone you want to hear, write out to them, or just send us the message, and then I'll try to find them. It's like, who do you think we're missing? If you have anyone specific, or if you're just throwing a blanket out, let's find a woman to talk to, then like, okay,
then we're doing it.
Yeah, we'll do that. It's like, but if you have any insight or what you think, who would be a good guest or whose job past you want to know?
Yeah, specific people you find interesting, let us know. And then Skylar does wrap up by saying, anyway, thanks for the podcast. Maybe when I get employed again, I can donate to the cause. And
I would love that. But go ahead.
Yeah, number one, hope you get employed again. And number two, as of right now, we are a free podcast. We have zero infrastructure for you to donate. And the reason that is the case right now is because we're still building the podcast, and we believe that like while you're building, that's just the way it is. You do the work, and then later you can start to ask for special privileges like cash.
Yeah. And so right now, donating to the cause is just hanging out. We love you. We love you writing in.
Writing in is a great way to contribute. Reviewing the podcast on, whatever platform you're listening. It's another excellent way of contributing to the podcast. And then same thing goes for like, us on socials. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. Nobody's fucking on Twitter, but, but we're there. We're on Facebook, but we do jack shit there because it's also a dumpster fire. But, Instagram and TikTok in particular, we're always putting out clips. And if you're listening to the episodes, you know what we're talking about. But either way, thank you very much for writing in, Skylar.
Yes, thank you, Skylar.
It means a lot that like, number one, you listen to the podcast, and number two, that you like take an extra step to care enough to talk to us about how you think the podcast is going. So thank you.
Yeah. So feel free to reach back out, and thank you again for listening.
Yeah. Thanks, Skylar. And then write-in number 3 today comes from, I think, what we have crowned the nicest podcast listener in the world.
Oh man. Oh,
it's our dear friend, Mallory.
Oh, Mallory.
She's great.
That angel.
A real angel. So, we should start doing is figuring out how to index all these fucking write-in episodes, because I have no fucking idea. I think it was Oops All Write-ins, our second Oops All Write-ins that Mallory had our last write-in. And Mallory worked at Amazon doing some product stuff. And Mallory worked at this doctor's office. If you haven't listened to that one, it's crazy. But Mallory is giving us some follow-up information because she worked in like product resolve or something like that. Anyway, Mallory says, sorry for the late text, which is, Mallory, you don't have to apologize.
Yeah. Mallory, what are you doing to me, Mallory?
Please, Mallory. Wanted to message before I forget. Let me start by saying, great pod this week. I think we're referring to the Miles Weber episode. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I've been a mental health therapist for 13 years.
Oh, Mallory, you just gonna slip that in on us after 13 years?
This is why Mallory's so goddamn nice.
Layers.
7 of which was in a jail setting, which is amazing.
Holy shit.
And I have to say that you guys handle that delicate subject really well and with great humor. So thank you. I mean, we tried to warn people because there was some graphic stuff. And I think the other thing we try to do is just like let the person who's on tell their story, right? So Miles, I think that's a more attributable to Miles, I'd say, than it is to us. For sure. We like, it's tough. It's like bad shit happens, and we're not going to not talk about it. But we are going to hopefully like try and warn you some. Anyway, I love that you encourage people to attend therapy. Hashtag reduce the stigma, which I will do again on this podcast today. You should attend therapy or give it a go. And also for the record, again, I'm not going to go on too long of a tangent here, but like a lot of people, I think, sort of like say like attend therapy as like sort of a blanket term. But like, number one, some people can't afford it. And like, that sucks. Like there's no getting around that. And number two, therapists are not all created equal. So like, if you know someone or you yourself have like gone down that road, like it's kind of like finding a doctor or a hairstyle. Like there's people that you're going to gel with like way more than others. So just like FYI, if you've run into that, like don't get discouraged. It sucks because it's literally the fucking hardest person to find. But just FYI, like, I don't know if we've actually said that. I also forgot that I never answered your question that you had about Amazon. Thanks got the additional shout out a few pods ago. Hey, Mallory, we're shouting you out now. You're goddamn welcome. Thank you. So in Problem Solve, we're on the warehouse floor. As the boxes come off the truck or being packed in pallets, they come to us to be fixed, then go right back out. And Mallory says, it is funny. At one point, and I agree. At one point in an episode, I'm sorry that I don't remember which one, you were talking about maple syrup spilling all over something.
Oh, dude, that's my truck. That's my work van.
Yes.
It was honey. Honey spilled all over.
And then she says, we did have a case in which liquid detergent was in a Jiffy, those bags that you rip open. It spilled all over the contents of the giant box of boxes. I'm talking a 6 foot tall, 5x5 box full of Jifs that all needed to be replaced. It was a long night. Keep up the great work. Still loving the pod. I mean, Mallory.
Hey, Mallory.
You're an angel.
Salt of the earth, Mallory. Yeah, we had it was at my job. Someone spilled honey into the van. I recently just took the van in to get estimates on what it would cost to completely fix the damage of the honey. Upwards of $2,000.
Oh my fucking
to fix a van just
honey.
So I don't. Yeah, it's
that. 2,000 for honey van.
For honey van, 2,000 to fix it. Otherwise, I just live with fruit flies forever and probably mold.
Yeah. So definitely mold. So that's not getting fixed. Is the obvious thing.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mallory, for writing in. Yeah, I believe. And maple syrup sounds so bad, real bad. We're real bad. Mallory, thank you for writing in and clarifying. I don't know if I have any follow-up questions here. Unless, I mean, again, like, Mallory, you keep pulling out these like extremely specific and graphic scenarios. Like, do you have any other problem solve incidents? Because we're like your problem solve. We thought problem solve was just like throwing away shitty boxes. You're telling me you're like mopping up maple syrup.
Also, this psych ward thing. If you have any stories that you want to you want to throw out on that?
Or takeaways for, again, we got people listening that obviously are working in the industry, you got any tips, right? And again, the whole point is they're maintaining anonymity so you can feel free to share whatever you want. So that's, again, all up to you.
Yeah, I guess we do. Have a lot of now there's a couple of,
I'm not saying we have a lot. I'm just saying,
well, they're coming out the woodwork a little bit.
But I'm also saying my guess is the takeaways of like survival from a psych ward would probably also work in other settings.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. I just think it's interesting because it's like we put out that Miles Weber episode 2 weeks ago. And then this,
3 weeks
by the time this comes on 3 weeks ago, and immediately we get this turnaround.
Yeah.
That fast? Like, can you name another time where we had like multiple write-ins because of that fast? You know,
that I also worked in animal control. Which, by the way, if you work in animal control, start texting right now. What's going on with you? Like, literally, what are you doing as you listen to this?
Yeah. So like any tips? Like, you're right. Any tips on like stress relief or what you can do for your mental? Because you make a great point. Yeah, if you can.
And my guess is, again, not all of those situations are created equal. You know what I mean? Like, I would bet you there's like the state ones, probably the worst is my guess, or any sort of government funded one because it's the last stop for a lot of people. And maybe there's other places that, or people who are working in psych wards are like, maybe I want to become a psychiatrist or I don't know what the next thing is, but anyway, any input would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mallory. And thank you, everybody, so much for writing
Yes,
in.
thank you so much for all your writings.
Just so you know, the number, in case, you know, you didn't listen to the bumper that happened on this episode, is 470-223-5627. That's 470-223-5627. It's just a text. The way it works is it comes in. I read it. I ask, you know, if it's okay that we read on the podcast, and I either give you a fake name or you come up with one. So that's it.
That's it. Thank you so much for
Big pod. Hopefully it's a little long,
pod.
like maybe since it's like a little bit longer, it's maybe like we've been gone longer, so the pod's a little longer, you know?
Yeah.
A little tit for tat here.
Little catch up, but next week we will be back to the grind of
Regular
guests.
scheduled programming, baby. It's gonna be a dude probably, but
yes, but I don't have
working
anything.
on.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. I booked Cheryl Anderson.
Although they could cancel.
Yeah, she could cancel, but I'm super excited to have her on because she's been a friend of mine for a long time.
So
there's my promise early on that there's already one.
It's already in the pipeline, folks.
Coming out.
Yeah.
So
and thanks everybody for listening. We're just so glad you're here.
Yes, thank you very much.
And also fuck this place.
Dude, fuck this place.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Oh boy, we really appreciate each and every one of you for writing in and for listening. So thanks for the hang. I'm not going to ask you to do anything. I'm not going to ask you to write a review or write in or subscribe, because maybe you've already done that. Maybe you're a good person, and maybe you're a good person without doing those things. I'm not here to judge you. Okay, that's it. Bye for now. Fuck this place.